The camaraderie's part of it, fishing with good people, experiencing things in nature that not everybody gets to see is another really cool part about it. And man, we have an awesome resource down here. For me nowadays, getting to start every day, watch the sun coming up on the lake is that's special to me.
Thanks for joining us on Louisiana's Playground Podcast, your roadmap to all things Lake Charles, Louisiana. I'm Brady Raynard.
And I'm Anna Strider. We are excited to bring you the authentic stories that the Southwest Louisiana has to offer and giving you all the tools you need to build your personal Lake Charles itinerary.
It's episode 21.
21?
21.
Oh,
That's
my
one
goodness.
more than 20, and we're here.
And if we were a human in the United States of America, this would be our drinking birthday.
It is. It is, in fact. So raise one up as you listen to the podcast, wherever you're listening to today. We're talking charter fishing, another exceptional outdoor activity to do here in the Lake Charles area. Plenty of fish to catch around here, and no better way to do it than on the boat of someone very experienced in the waters and very experienced with the fish to be caught in the waters. Charter fishing. We talked to Andrew Soileau of High Tide Charters, and he has a lot of good information to share with us today.
But before we get started with this great conversation about all things fishing charters, we are going to start the show as we always do with our segment, On the Eats.
And you should know by now, this is the part of the show where Anna and I go to a local restaurant to give us the lowdown on everything that the restaurant does well, maybe something about how they got started and where they're at today, and just a boatload, pun intended, of information in this wonderful segment.
So this week we decided we wanted to go with a breakfast themed, whether you are getting up early, coming into town, you're planning your fishing charter trip, or you're just getting back and have a small bit of time there to grab a lunch before you start out on the rest of your evening. And that's why we went to Coffee 30 Express, that is, for this particular On the Eats.
The main location opened in August of 2021, and the express location opened just earlier this year, just off Nelson Road. It's connected to a huge theater, as we'll talk about that more in a minute, but it just shows you the type of success that the original location had, to where we needed another one to bring a local coffee shop into town that offers a bunch of different sweets and treats and lunch options as well.
Owner Joshua Smith really saw a need in the lake area to bring beignets and put them on the map here and really create a destination that says you don't have to go all the way to the New Orleans area to get something so unique and special to Louisiana as far as a beignet. So that's where their business model really started on, is those fresh homemade recipe of beignets. They spent so much time perfecting this recipe, getting it right, the perfect amount of powdered sugar on top, and boy, do they do it well. They even have, during different times of the year, a Christmas and Mardi Gras flavor that they bring out. And let me tell you, I've had the Mardi Gras one. It's a king cake rendition, and it is incredible. What's even more exciting is that they've started the Louisiana Coffee Company, and as of June, they are now selling their coffee beans in Rouse's, which is a fantastic local grocery. It's one of my favorites. I'm a little bit biased from when I discovered Rouse's when I first moved down here, but the store itself really focuses on providing Louisiana brands, and it's a perfect fit for the coffee company. They have coffee beans being provided: bourbon barrel, southern pecan, cafe calcasieu, Louisiana mudslide, mocha beignet. So many different options to pick up your coffee beans and bring them back home.
As far as in the doors of Coffee 30, they do breakfast, they do lunch, and they do Anna's favorite, brunch as well, in the cafe location, the one off College Street. Things like the crab cake breakfast bowl, chicken Lake Charles, the sundial, there's burgers and chicken sandwiches, just basically the perfect meal that you need to eat right after breakfast, but just before lunch.
Exactly. And their waffles at the cafe location are like, chef's kiss. Highly, highly recommend getting over there for those. But let's not cut anything short here. As much as I love brunch, what I have every single day is coffee. And their espressos and different coffees that they make. They have the iced coffees. Just about any way that you drink coffee, they're going to serve it up there. And of course, locally brewed in the region, and just a great opportunity to get a taste of Southwest Louisiana.
As for lunch, both locations do offer lunch. We dined in the express one just off of Nelson Road, and they have many different sweets and treats, things like muffins and croissants, and of course, their homemade beignets, which were just exceptional, and in my opinion, rivaled some of the top beignets that you would see in the New Orleans area, like the famous Café du Monde. As for the food that we got, I went with the grilled cheese and tomato basil soup. The grilled cheese was very hearty, thick grilled cheese, and I dipped it in the tomato basil, which is exactly what you're looking for. Very savory tomato-based soup. Pairs so well with the grilled cheese. And, it's like the adult version of the meal that we grew up eating that still kind of sparks a certain part of your heart, that little childhood part of your heart, the nostalgia part. This checks every box and reminds you, though, that you are an adult, so you need the adult version, and this was definitely it.
In addition to my delicious chicken salad croissant, we got the French toast muffin. It was perfectly warmed. We cut into multiple slices, and it truly tasted like an entire piece of French toast in muffin form. Absolutely incredible.
I think my favorite was once we sliced it, the aroma of the French toast immediately just slaps you in your face in the best possible way. And as someone that loves French toast, I was immediately drawn in.
For people who were having lunch, it sure smelled like we were having breakfast in there. And one of the really amazing things about Coffee 30 and their ownership there is that they really focused on community partnerships and elevating together what different organizations and people bring to the table, and many of their different dishes are made from other local bakeries in the area, as well as, of course, their delicious homemade recipes that they all compile there together in this beautifully decorated coffee shop. It's so light and airy. They have one large wall that has 2 different artist displays on it, so you can buy local art in there as well. And all of this is in conjunction with the brand new state-of-the-art South Lake Theater.
And I think the one thing that's most impressive about it is it's one of only 4 performance venues in the entire country with the quality of sound and lighting technology, as well as the big screen there in the back, that gives that theater a multitude of options, whether it be for wedding and receptions, it could be for video game tournaments, it could be for concerts, it can be for comedy shows. Really, it's limitless for what that area can host, and I am really excited to see the different acts and the different events that'll be put on there in the coming years.
Exactly. There's just so much potential going on right here at South Lake Theater and Coffee 30 Express. And the best part is they are working together again, back to that community partnership. So those events are coming to the theater. They're going to have the catering ability and services that Coffee 30 Express is going to be able to provide them, and making it a completely one-of-a-kind experience right there. We have to offer it here in the lake area. So pop on into either the Coffee 30 Cafe location, which, by the way, it's located right next door to Daryl's Po' Boys, which we talked about in our first episode, and is perfectly situated between McNeese, Prion Lake Mall, and downtown, just right there on West College Street. Or you can be on the other side of town, either at South Lake Theater, shopping at Kroger, any of the great amenities over there, and pop into the Coffee 30 Express location. So pop into both of them and let us know what you think.
From a great meal to a great guest, we welcome on Andrew Soileau of High Tide Charters. He's a local charter fisherman who eats, breathes, and sleeps fishing. He grew up just a few minutes off of Calcasieu Point Landing, and it has really allowed him that access to the water, and it helped develop his passion that he now tries to share with his customers each and every time he hits the water. Welcome to the show, Andrew.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
We're excited to have you here, Andrew. We talk all the time about the different options and things to do that there are in our community and here in Southwest Louisiana. And we rave about the outdoor recreation, of course, in conjunction with the concerts and the great food. So this is going to be a really great conversation for our listeners to really take a dive in, per se, to all that the fishing charter world has to offer here in Southwest Louisiana.
Yeah, they can really fish out as many details as they can.
There we go. But before we get started with the conversation, we're going to ask you a few questions to get to know you a little bit better.
That'll work.
All righty. The first one, crawfish or gumbo?
Probably crawfish because it's seasonal, I guess.
So it's more of that like delicacy. You have to get it now and
Yeah, while
indulge
it's
in.
happening. Yep, for sure.
Now, you did say the word seasonal. Does gumbo have a season?
No, I'll eat gumbo all year.
All right.
Look, I'll take this as a half point for me then.
We'll give you a half point for this one. Poolside or beachside?
Beach, for
Beach.
sure. Yeah.
I would have been shocked if you said pool, honestly.
Right. Yeah, there's fish swimming down the beach.
Do you go fishing down in Cameron Parish along the Gulf
Oh,
of
yeah.
Mexico there?
Yeah, we had some really good weather up until the past week and a half. The beach was pretty for a couple weeks straight, and we had some really good trout and redfish and down
Right there
on
off the beach.
Oh yeah, like in the surf. Even catching a few triple tail in the surf too, which is pretty cool. That's something we don't see all the time over here.
Okay, the final question. Concert or comedy show?
Comedy show.
Comedy show. There
Yeah,
we go.
I
There's
think
one
so.
for you, Brady.
Yeah, you're only the second so far. Why comedy show over concert?
Well, honestly, I've never been to a comedy show, so I really don't know why, but I've watched them on TV, so I like that part of it. They look fun.
Now that we've gotten to know you a little bit better and how you play in Louisiana's playground, it is time to get started with our conversation today, and that is all things fishing in Lake Charles.
Sounds good.
And we know you were born and raised here in the Lake Charles area. You know these waters like the back of your hand. Can you tell me a little bit about your background that really got you that interested in fishing, which ultimately became a business for you in charter fishing?
Man, whether I knew it or not, I think from the time I was 2 years old, that was what I was destined to do. That was always my biggest passion from a little kid. Still, it's just as bad now as it's ever been. That's just always been where I've chose to spend my time. Started out fishing with my dad mostly when we were younger, and it just led from there. Never slowed down.
What's so special about it to you?
That's tough. I don't know, really everything. I love all of it. The camaraderie's part of it, fishing with good people, experiencing things in nature that not everybody gets to see is another really cool part about it. And for me nowadays, getting to start every day, watch the sun coming up on the lake is that's special to me.
I can only imagine there to
Yeah.
be able to be on the lake every morning,
Right.
basically, to watch the sunrise, because we have incredible sunrises here
Right.
and sunsets. So to get that firsthand perspective is a reason to book that early morning fishing charter in the first place.
Right, for sure.
Here in Southwest Louisiana, we're blessed with a bunch of different waterways, whether it be freshwater, brackish, and then obviously plenty of salt water. How does the fishing, do you feel like, change between each one when you're kind of out there?
Man, we've got great fishing, everything from up in the Calcasieu River to the Gulf and 100+ miles out into the Gulf. Everything from bass fishing up in the river and white perch and stuff to speckled trout, redfish, flounder as our common catches inshore. Then coastal stuff, you'll get cobia, triple tail, more trout and redfish, and some snapper fishing. And then blue water, we really have some good tuna, wahoo, blue marlin fishing, really everything. And it surprises me, you don't hear much about our true offshore fishing out of here, but it's really good.
Knowing that there's that much to untap, it really feels like that's where having that charter fisherman, someone that's really experienced, is kind of the best way to experience it, at least for the first time.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially new people looking into fishing around here, you could learn a lot from a couple days on the water with a guide. Not just navigating the lake, but how the fishing changes throughout the year, patterns, and how the fish move throughout the year and whatnot. You can learn a lot of information from a guide in a few days versus many days on the water to figure it out.
I love how you mentioned the real offshore fishing. And, we don't really get to talk about that enough, but having that access to Cameron and then from Cameron into the Gulf, what are some of the kind of really interesting and eye-opening experiences from you during maybe some of your times being out there?
Oh, we've seen some blue marlin fishing on the Gulf with a couple buddies. Got extremely lucky somehow and caught a sailfish out of my bay boat 4 or 5 years ago, just about 15 miles offshore, which was really just kind of a freak deal, but it was also really cool and Besides that, all the triple tail, cobia fishing, really everything we've got is good. It's just a matter of getting to it. That is the trickier side of offshore fishing out of Cameron is it's shallow for a long time. So you got a long ride to really get out there to a lot of the true blue water fishing.
The way that you were talking about some of the experiences and knowledge that someone, especially new to the area, that wants to learn the waterways that they can learn from local fishermen, it sounds like there's a science to fishing almost. When I was doing some research for the podcast, one of the things I learned was that redfish, for instance, were both freshwater and saltwater, right? That they can be in brackish.
Yep, they can tolerate fresh water. They can live in fresh water, like completely fresh, but they won't spawn in it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What are, I guess, the 2 or 3 really most popular fish that every charter fish that, these are going to come back in the boat?
Yeah, most of the guys around here, our bread and butter is the speckled trout, redfish, and flounder fishing. That's what we're pretty much doing day in and day out, anywhere from up here in the river to the lake and the coast. And then we get our nice weather during May, June, July, or really just all the summertime when we get some calm winds and we can creep out to the close rigs offshore and go do some triple tail and cobia fishing. And there's also some really good speckled trout fishing out there too.
And look, from my experience with specs, man, that's some good eating.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I like them all.
Yeah.
But I like shrimp the most.
Yeah. I've never come across many fish that I don't like, but man, speck, there's something special about speck. That's also the first fish I ever caught.
Look at that. No wonder
Right.
it's such a special place for you, Brady.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other visitors and guests around the world and that are having that same special touch to speckled trout. You mentioned that it's a good bite. Do you all prepare the fish for the guest and clean them once they come back with their full catch?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, they show up. They have to have a fishing license. Obviously, they can get a charter pass through Wildlife and Fisheries to fish with a guide, and everything else is taken care of. Drinks on the boat and whatnot. Fish clean at the end of the day. Rods and reels. Just show up and come catch some fish.
But bring your ice chest to be able to haul that fish afterwards.
Yeah. You need a cooler to bring them home for sure.
Yeah. So
Hopefully a big one.
Yeah, no joke. And so that's ultimately really the selling point for, coming in and wanting to fish is that all you need to do is bring your attitude, a good one, preferably.
Yes.
An ice chest to bring back and your fishing
That's
license.
it.
And that's it.
Yep, it's simple. You could do the fishing license in 5 minutes online at the dock that morning if needed. It's easy. Show up and go catch some fish, hop on the boat, pick up at the casinos or at camps on the lake. Make it simple.
And I wanted to touch on that. So when it comes to being picked up at the casinos, what's all goes into that? I mean, truly, you go down to the docks at the casino, obviously coordinated with you, and you're on the water later that afternoon or morning.
Yep. They literally wake up, walk out the door to the back dock at the casino, and we're there waiting. Head out and go fishing. And when they're done, just drop them right back off at the casino. We'll normally clean the fish and go bring them up to them.
Talk about a unique experience. I mean, where else can you do that? Just walk down right from your casino resort. Maybe you were on the lazy river earlier, or you have
Right.
reservations at a great restaurant that night, and you're heading down for a quick charter fishing trip
Right.
there
Yeah.
off the docks.
Golf course in the morning and fishing trip in the afternoon, or however you want to do it.
That's tough.
And you don't even have to leave the property by vehicle.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
And
It's easy.
the ability to do that really seems like an amazing opportunity to just really take in all what we get to offer here in Southwest Louisiana, Louisiana's playground, and we're named that for a reason.
For sure. Man, we have an awesome resource down here, and I would love to see more people get to experience it and enjoy it because it truly is great.
One of a kind.
For sure.
You mentioned earlier about some of the different times of the year and that you can go further out into different fishing spots around the lake. Is there a best time of the year to go fishing? Or is it an all year thing?
The fish are always here. They're not migratory, moving in and out or anything. With that being said, you granted any day of the year you catch the right weather conditions and the right tide, you could go fishing over here and have as good a trip as you could imagine potentially, But with that being said, our more consistent times are going to be May through July. We get our most consistent weather then a lot of years. And then again in the fall, October through December is really consistent as far as day to day, every day being like productive.
And typically charters are taken early morning and then early afternoon. There's two different ones per day typically.
Yep, I'll do a morning trip starting at daylight and then do an afternoon trip starting around 2:33, just depending on the time of year. And we'll fish till 7 or so, depending on time of year, and just try to get the fish clean before the mosquitoes come out and get us.
Yeah, and both are pretty equally successful.
Yeah, only thing, the afternoon trips are a little shorter, which can obviously take away time from catching fish. But besides that, yeah, it's not so much a morning versus afternoon bite as it is a tidal deal with how these fish feed and act.
And then you had mentioned places to be picked up. We talked about the casino. Where else do you pick up from?
The casinos, I normally launch out of Calcasieu Point. A lot of my drive-ins or people who are staying in town will just meet me there. Or we all pick up all over on the lake at camps, wherever people are staying, just wherever we can make it easiest for them to get on the boat and go on the trip. Like if I've got some people that are staying across the river, even if it's just right there, it's easier to jump over there to pick them up across the river than it is for them to drive 30 minutes around using the bridge. So we try to make it easy on everybody with that.
Clearly, fishing in Southwest Louisiana is a number one thing to put on your bucket list to do when you're visiting. What type of people go fishing?
Oh, everybody. I think pretty much everybody likes to fish. Everybody that comes anyways, I suppose.
You have everything from novice fishermen and
Oh, yeah.
fisherwomen to
Yeah.
people are experts
from
on the water.
first timers to guys who were, I've probably had a couple guys on the boat that could teach me a few things without a doubt. But yeah, from beginners to experts and everything in between.
And do you have a different spiel maybe? And I don't want to give away your secrets now, but that when you have a beginner on the boat and they've never fished before, kind of that experience that you give them versus someone who's maybe an expert and been out here, done it a number of
Yeah,
times.
somebody that's new into it, we'll be riding down the channel and they see the porpoises surface, and me, I'm not thinking anything about it, or what a lot of customers not, but then you've got people who haven't seen that before. They're like, oh, look, it's a dolphin, and go over there, look at the dolphins or porpoises, and do that kind of deal. Not so much just a fishing trip, but let them see the South Louisiana marsh and bird life and everything it has to offer, and not just the goal of going out to catch fish. Obviously, we were going to catch fish too. But yeah, I do try to make it a little more, kind of give them a tour more so than just like a true fishing trip that some of my more experienced customers may be more into, and I really just try to show them everything I can while we're out there at least.
Truly tailoring their experience to what they want to know and experience for the first time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if they want to go look at the dolphins, that's fine with me. Or find some rosettes to check out, cool birds. I'm fine with any of it. Just as long as they're happy and enjoying the resource, I am too.
What's really the most important thing that you often share with the guest on your vessel for your trips?
Well, with newer people, kind of my main goal, back to the kind of beginners, bringing them out, I really always try to get them on a nice redfish. That's what South Louisiana is really known for nationally, is our great redfish. And, they pull. I do my best to get them on a good redfish on their first trip for sure. I feel like that's what people think about when they come to fish South Louisiana. People from other places is the red fishing.
When someone's wanting to book, let's say that they have the interest in charter fishing, and now they're ready to start booking. What are the 2 or 3 things that you suggest looking for when looking for a charter fisherman?
I would find somebody you like to fish with. You know, there's a ton of great guides down here. Any of the full-time guides on the lake, you can't go wrong with any of them. My best advice to people, find somebody you enjoy fishing with and enjoy spending the day with. You're going to have tough days fishing and you're going to have great days fishing. That's with anybody. And find somebody you enjoy fishing with and stick with them.
I'm going to take that twofold, because I heard that initially as make sure you bring a friend that you like to hang out with in close quarters all day long.
Right.
That's going to make it an enjoyable experience. And then when you're making your appointment, call the fisherman, call the guide, get to know them a little bit. And if you'll get that vibe.
Yeah,
It's going to
exactly.
be a
Call
good
the
day.
guide, talk to the guide about what you're looking for in the trip and what all you want to do and versus what their normal trips are, you know. Talk to the guide and make sure you've lined out exactly kind of what you want out of the trip, whether it's more so back to bringing some kids and kind of showing them the outdoors and catching a few fish too, or whether you're a group of hardcore fishermen that have a goal in mind and want to go chase that goal and just try to accomplish that for the day, you know.
Making sure you know exactly what you want to do out on the water and
Right.
partnering with
And then
somebody
a lot
to,
of people just want to go and they're like, hey, take us to do whatever you think's best for the day. Let's just go have a good time and catch some fish.
do you enjoy those fishing trips to where you kind of are just going with the flow and showing them what you know best?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that part just kind of comes out natural when you get on the boat. I'm just kind of doing my thing like normal, I guess.
Well, if people are interested to learn more about high tide charters, where do they need to go?
We're on Facebook, Instagram, High Tide Charters. Website is www.htcharters.com. You can find all our info on there, email, phone number. Contact us anytime.
When booking a charter, how far in advance do you feel like people need to be kind of booking?
For weekends during the summer, say from April or so, really through the rest of the year, through the fall. Weekends stay pretty booked out a few months ahead of time for sure. Weekdays, I've just about always got a few weekdays open, even once we get up to the beginning of the month for the month. But if you really like to have your choice at days and a good guide, I would call early, plan ahead for sure. I try to tell people to do it 2 to 3 months out if they can. It's not easy all the time, you know, lining up everybody's schedules, but there's a lot of people that come here to do it. You'd be surprised how booked up everybody gets. It blows my mind sometimes.
That's fantastic, though, to know that the
Yeah.
industry is thriving. And you said it earlier when we were just getting started that more and more people are getting into the sport. And
Yeah.
it's just a wonderful thing to see, especially here in this
Yeah.
community.
For sure. Yeah, and now we've got all the stuff on the waterfront up here coming along, which makes it even better. It's more stuff to do on the water around here.
We are only heading forward here in Southwest Louisiana, and it is exciting to be a part of. Thank you for being on the show today, Andrew.
For sure. Thank y'all. I enjoyed it.
Thanks again to Andrew for joining us here on the show, and thank you for taking time out of your day to join us right here on the podcast. As you know, this is the part where I fish for some reviews, so please follow our podcast and leave us a rating or review, at least for my bad puns alone.
Yes, drop us a line is what Brady is saying. And maybe we'll hook one to a new listener, that is. So head on over to visitlakecharles.org/podcast for more episodes of Where to Eat, events happening this weekend. And yes, you guessed it, you can find many of our different charters listed on the website as well. I'm Anna Strider.
And I'm Brady Reynard. Thanks for coming play on Louisiana's Playground. See you.